Ask Standing for Truth how young Earth creation deals with distant starlight in a young universe.
Jackson 4 looks like super not bad. Gives me another tough question to answer. You can certainly go with the supernatural explanation. I mean, obviously, God created a full-grown Adam, full-grown garden, full-grown mature Earth. If scientists were to come and do their blood tests on Adam, who say was created just an hour before, you know what I mean, based on height or weight, they might conclude that he's old. Based on blood tests, cholesterol levels, they might conclude that he's young. So at the end of the day, looking at Starlight, if God stretched out the heavens, as the Bible says, you can certainly go that route. I prefer to go the more scientific route. Dr. Humphreys, gravitational time dilation. You'd have to go through a lot of reading material to understand. It's kind of hard to go in a 1 minute answer, but if we assume the Earth is, say, at the center of mass in space, something in the center of mass will create a huge dent in space. Okay, now we would also have to assume that God used what's called a white hole to bring about the universe. Now, given the two scenarios, if you're following me, the Earth is in a huge gravitational well, and deep inside a gravitational well where time slows down. Okay, so here's the explanation. And the deeper you get, the slower time gets to the point where time itself stops. Now, while the Earth is inside that well, God also created stars and galaxies inside that well. This is where it gets interesting. So the Earth, and I'm trying to put this into a nutshell. So the Earth and the stars are inside the well at the same time. And that well is a white hole, like I said earlier. But while God was putting stars and galaxies inside that well, it causes the original dent in space-time to increase further, sending the Earth down much further into that well, causing time to completely stop. I know it's kind of technical, but it does explain the distant light problem. Now, while Earth clocks were stopped and everything from stars and galaxies was inside that white hole, just like the Bible said, God stretched out the heavens, which means, I think it's pretty obvious, he expanded the event horizon of the universe starting from the edge of that white hole. So when he stretched it out, stars and galaxies were the first to come out of that well. And when you escape that gravitational well, time can now start ticking. So which clock started ticking first? Right? Stars and galaxies or deep space? I'm almost done here. I just want the audience to understand that we do have a strong model, because Starlight started traveling from the event horizon to the center of mass, which is the white hole. Now, as God continued to stretch out the universe, the Earth finally was pulled out of that white hole, and for the first time, Earth clock started to tick. When Earth clock started ticking, since galaxies and stars came out of that well first and had billions of years of cosmic activity, while the Earth was still in that well, light from those galaxies already traveled to the center of mass. And when the Earth came out of it, light distant starlight was already there. So I explained that in a nutshell. I'm very interested in this distant starlight problem. That's the best I can explain in the limited time I have, but I would definitely suggest people look. You can go with the supernatural explanation, or you can go for this really technical explanation. Dr. Humphreys, I recommend looking into it. It completely solves the problem.
So